The War Council of the Kethavar Empire assembled in their obsidian chamber. The most feared military strategists in the galaxy gathered around a holographic display showing Earth, a small blue marble spinning peacefully in the void. General Vexthul, his forearms gesticulating with practiced authority, addressed the assembled warlords. "The humans have rejected our ultimatum," he announced, his voice carrying the weight of 1,000 victories. "They refuse to surrender their colonies in the Outer Rim." A collective rumble of approval echoed through the chamber. The Kethavar had conquered 67 star systems in the past century. Their warriors stood 12 feet tall, their exoskeletons capable of deflecting plasma fire, their strength legendary across the galaxy. No species had ever faced them twice in battle, not because the Kethavar were merciful, but because there was never anything left to fight a second time. "These humans are a young species," added Commander Zektar, consulting his tactical display. "Their military technology is primitive. Chemical propulsion, kinetic weapons, basic energy shields. This will be over within a solar cycle." The War Council voted unanimously. The Great Fleet would depart within the rotation. 3 months later, the remnants of that same fleet limped back to Kethavar Prime. Of the 1,000 warships that had departed with such confidence, fewer than 200 returned. General Vexthul was not among the survivors. Admiral Grixnell, now bearing scars that would never heal, stood before the Emergency Council. His voice, once booming with authority, now carried an unfamiliar tremor. "The humans," he began, then stopped, searching for words that could adequately convey what he had witnessed. "They do not fight like any species we have encountered." "Explain," demanded High Commander Velcorin, leaning forward in his throne. Grixnell activated the holographic display, showing recorded footage from the battle at Proxima Station. "We expected conventional warfare, ship-to-ship combat, orbital bombardments, ground invasions following standard tactical doctrine. The display showed the initial engagement, Kethavar dreadnoughts advancing in perfect formation against the smaller human fleet. At first, it appeared our projections were correct. Their ships were smaller, less armored, outgunned 3-1. The footage showed human vessels taking heavy damage, several exploding in brilliant flashes. But then, the display shifted to show something unprecedented. A human cruiser, its hull breached and atmosphere venting, rammed directly into a Kethavar battleship. The explosion consumed both vessels in a sphere of nuclear fire. "They began sacrificing their own ships," Grixnell continued, his voice hollow. "Not retreating when overwhelmed, not surrendering when outmatched. They would detonate their reactors, ram our vessels, turn their own ships into weapons even as they died." The council stirred uneasily. Such tactics were not just unexpected, they were unthinkable. What species would willingly sacrifice their most expensive assets? "But that was merely the beginning," Grixnell said, advancing the footage. "When we landed ground forces on their colony worlds, expecting to face demoralized defenders, the display showed urban combat unlike anything in Kethavar military doctrine. Human civilians, not soldiers but ordinary colonists, fighting from every building, every basement, every rooftop. Children no taller than a Kethavar's knee lobbing improvised explosives. Elderly humans rigging their own homes to collapse on advancing troops. They turned their entire populations into combatants," Grixnell reported. "Every human from the youngest to the oldest fought with the same incomprehensible determination. They would rather die than yield a single street." The footage showed a human medic continuing to treat wounded soldiers, while Kethavar plasma fire reduced the medical facility around her. She worked until the roof collapsed, never abandoning her patients. "Most disturbing of all," Grixnell continued, "they seemed to view their casualties not as losses but as inspiration. The more of them that died, the more fiercely the survivors fought. They have a saying, 'Remember the fallen.' Every death made them more dangerous, not less." High Commander Velcorin processed this information, his tactical mind struggling to comprehend such illogical behavior. What of their technology? Our intelligence suggested primitive capabilities. Primitive in origin, perhaps, but they adapt with terrifying speed. The display showed human engineers modifying captured Kethavar weapons in real time, jury-rigging alien technology into their own systems. Within days of capturing one of our plasma cannons, they had reverse-engineered the principles and mass-produced their own variants. They learned from every engagement, evolve their tactics, and share innovations across their entire force instantaneously. The footage showed the final engagement, human ships that should have been obsolete somehow matching Kethvar vessels shot for shot, their weapons upgraded with scavenged alien technology, and powered by what appeared to be barely controlled fusion reactors. They fight as if they have nothing to lose and everything to gain, Grixnall concluded. As if the very act of defying us is worth any sacrifice. I have never encountered a species that views warfare as enthusiastically as humans do. The Emergency Council sat in stunned silence. The Kethvar Empire had built its reputation on overwhelming force and inevitable victory. The concept of an enemy that became more dangerous when threatened, that treated desperate odds as motivation rather than reason to surrender, was beyond their understanding. High Commander Velkorin finally spoke. Recommendations? Grixnall straightened, his decision already made. We withdraw all forces from human space immediately. We establish a buffer zone of no less than 50 light-years around their territory. And we ensure that no Kethvar vessel ever engages a human ship again. You're suggesting we retreat? The mighty Kethvar Empire fleeing from a single species? No, High Commander, Grixnall replied firmly. I'm suggesting we survive. The humans have demonstrated something more dangerous than superior technology or greater numbers. They have shown us that some species would rather burn the galaxy down than accept defeat. And frankly, after witnessing their capabilities firsthand, I believe they might actually be capable of doing it. The motion passed unanimously. Within a year, the withdrawal was complete. The Kethvar Empire, for the first time in its history, had voluntarily ceded territory to another species. The humans, for their part, seemed almost disappointed that their new neighbors no longer wanted to fight. The galaxy learned a valuable lesson that day. Sometimes the strongest warriors are the ones who know when not to pick a fight. And sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one that enjoys the battle more than the victory.